Good morning, everybody, and welcome to RPG Horror Stories. I'm your host, and listen, we actually have another story that was recommended by Art Monso, and it actually also happens to be by Art Monso. So, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. I know I'm going to. And now let's get on to the story. The time that guy was given a space taser and more. Also known as the time of that guy tased us into doing what he wants. Well, you know the game. How much butter are we gonna be covered in at the end of this Reddit post? We'll start with one. Just a reminder as to the rules of this game. We use the butter on my body to gauge the veracity of that guyness, the power of that guy, so to say. If I remember correctly, the last one had 27 different butters on me. So, hopefully this one's fewer butters. Could be more. Don't know. But every time that we say that guy, we've got to put butter on me. Well, while we're eating, not when I say that guy. So, here's a short tale from one of my lockdown games when the Dungeon Master tried to solve a player shortage in the group by inviting one of his old friends to the group. That ended up causing more problems than not over the course of a few sessions. A tale of mistrust, if not outright misjudgment on the Dungeon Master's part, about venting your players, even old friends. The game was Traveler, a space game where you roll up your character's whole life, get a ship with a loan more brutal than most student loan debt and mortgages combined, then try to survive it in the sandbox where you can do whatever you want. We are in the middle of the prologue to the sandbox part of the game, like me, the doctor, and 3 other players. Let's call the influencer, Chaz, and party boy, Mark the corrupt politician, and Mac the army pilot. We were chosen by the planetary government of New Canaan, a mining colony cut off from the rest of the Imperium, who, as far as they knew, were the only ones left as a group of fleeing Mormon missionaries told of a hostile alien force devouring whole planets and tearing the Imperial fleet a new one. Cut to 300 years later in a joint project between the Mormon Inquisition and the Republic of New Canaan decides it is time to send out a crew to get the abandoned communication ray up and running to see if anyone else is still out there. Also, we were tasked with testing out the ship, as the pilot has rediscovered space travel and wanted us to test out some of the new tech, like the hydronics bay. Wait, do you mean the hydroponics bay? And the AI core that they dig out from a warship in the middle of nowhere. A few sessions go by as we try to find out more on the AI core from the old days, but you know, why the Mormon Inquisition's trying to murder us and sabotage the ship. Finally, what we could hear when we get the comms array up and running again. Well, on the way there, we spot 2 objects stuck in a gas giant. One is a large black orb, and the other is an old Imperial crusher. We decided to go to the crusher. The 4 of us and 2 NPCs suited up and started to explore the abandoned ship, trying to find any logs to it being here, salvaging any tech we can, ending up with a high-tech first aid kit and fire extinguisher to reverse engineer. We were enjoying the expansion, especially when accidentally turning on the automatic hover APC that tried to run over us repeatedly. The pilot and politician finally found the power room and began to return power back on when, out of the game, Kevin popped into the Zoom call. I gotta say, he sounded like what you expect that guy to sound like. You know, like nasally goblins, like sort of like pig laugh. Alright. Well, we've got 1 butter. Kevin was the former captain of the ship before the alien attack and was on his way to our world before it came New Canaan to try to get ready for an unknown threat above his pay grade when he was attacked by one of the aliens. He throws himself into one of the emergency meat popsicle makers and hopes for the rescue. So now he is on a ship, barely working, and strange people are looting his ship. Pirates on my ship! Wait. I'll be spaced for this. Wait. I've gotta read this like Kevin. Pirates on my ship. They'll all be spaced from this. Was the first in and out of character thing he said as he got to work unlocking one of the weapon lockers. This is understandable in character, still normally. Just normally. I feel like you forgot to finish your sentence there. Don't worry. It's like a 2-year-old post. I don't expect you to go back and proofread everything. Now, we were a crew of what was slightly more advanced space shuttle with mostly tools like shovels and crowbars. True weapons-wise, we had a hunting rifle for sample gathering, 2 assault rifles that the army escort can bring, a pistol the pilot brings with him at all times, and a gravity flail the politician stole from the remains of the Mormon's long-lost spaceship. And that was basically the most advanced weaponry we had. So when Kevin got to a hidden locker and pulled out a combat taser, which outmatched us right off the bat, how, you may ask, it's just a taser because of the tech level. In Traveler, not all planets are of the same tech level. Level 8 is what current-day Earth, the Imperium Army, is at 13 or 14 at best. We were at best a Tech 9 going on Tech 10 planet after rediscovering and refurbishing a space expelled with guns strapped to it. Personal weapons-wise, we had like AKs and revolvers converted to like Haven's multi-round handheld Star Trek phasers, but instead of beams, it sent out electro bolts. That felt like gibberish, but whatever. So he easily knocks out both the pilot and politician in a surprise round and stuffs them into the cryopods that may be more akin to meat freezers at this point. He then got into the intercom and yelled at us about illegal salvage and the Imperium will not tolerate this, as you would expect a bureaucrat on a power trip to do. This could have made for an interesting intro, even if it was breaking the no PvP rule that most game groups follow, myself included, but it was spoiled by Calvin interrupting us to add to his monologue as he took long poses to chase his breath. It didn't help that trying to discuss what is happening in or out of character, Kevin would start whining about metagaming and ruling that it wouldn't work before the DM had a chance to say anything. Me and Chaz, the reality TV star, finally decided with Kevin, and later the DM's blessing, to find one of the PA comms and communicate with the captain about the release of their friends, or at least the political and military officers. Kevin. What are you doing on my ship, you lawless thugs? We are explorers from New Canaan, on a mission to scout out the system. This craft has been abandoned for more than 300 years. Life! There are no planets under that name in the Imperium! Bro, the Imperium has been dead and gone for like years now. Stop being so anal, man. The Imperium will never fall. Not to you, or to the aliens! Okay. I would expect an Imperium officer to be able to be educated, willing to take information in. Worldly person, if you will. This went back and forth for a bit, as we turned to convince him to just talk to us face to face. Or at least look at the date on all the computers. The Dungeon Master, trying to get things back on track, even has 2 NPCs to try to show him, with science and engineering, that the ship is that old, and that the government hasn't heard anything from the Imperium for years. They both got tased for illegal claims against the Imperium. and left them in the hall in a very not safe for work position. Gross. Dude, what the fuck? We're trying to tell the truth and trying to get you to join. Well, and Lord, the Imperial naval captains were known to be pretty stubborn and loyal to the Imperium, so sorry, but you just have to try harder. It's all commit to being friends. I'll give you full permission to grab my gravity flail and smack him out of the nearest airlock when possible. Knocking my sprawl. The DM finally decided to break up the argument and get the story rolling again. He described the black ball and starts to open up, revealing that it is a big alien beetle, glowing purple, and from our sensors was charging some sort of bionuclear weapon, as the dungeon master put it. He had me quickly revive the Tazed crew members and call in some of the crew still on the spaceship under threat of taser attacks. We reluctantly leaned him part of our crew. The space combat was, to say the least, interesting. As we duggle heated plasma beams, returned laser fire, and even a few mining nukes at the thing until a Nat 1 destroyed one of the torpedo tubes, killing one of our crew. The half-intact warship barking out orders on where to be and when to fire as his ship kept sending full salvos into the soft underbelly, sending heated plasma and bug guts in all directions. This paragraph could use a little bit of work, personally. It's hard to know where I'm actually reading at. It just feels like halfway through it switches. It felt like it was gonna work out, almost for as soon as combat was over. Chaz tried to give him a high five, which earns him a judo flip, followed by a beating with a baton for disrespecting a member of the 3rd Imperial Naval Corps, and then pointed out for all the volunteer crew to get off his ship. In the party pointed out that we just risked our lives fighting this thing together, and he's just throwing us out. Yes, of course I am, you civilians of the Imperium. It is expected of you to follow orders and offer your assistance for 3. He said, pointing to the door. I grabbed our more dazed than normal reality TV star and made off the ship with the wounded crew from the battle, but most of the injuries were caused by Kevin's motivation taser shots as we left the ship. We stopped for repairs and to host a wake for the dead crew members, which was one of the better roleplay moments in an RPG game. We gave them names, made up stories about how we know them, and made a miniature shrine to them. Too bad it was spoiled by Kevin loudly exclaiming, "Why the fuck are we doing this for a group of nobodies?" And I said we just get on with it. Dick. But still only had that guy power of 2. We spend a good chunk of the session figuring out who will be doing what to repair our ship, as Kevin, with the help of drones on the warship, didn't need any help. To his surprise, we were making more progress with our repairs with our unmaxed characters and primitive tech level. Which the answers of, you're doing everything by yourself. Robots don't work like that, and how do you min-max in a game where your character creation is pure chance? Didn't go well with them. One of us pointed out how helpful the ship AI was in the repairs, and he lost it both in and out of the game, as lore-wise, AI are very rare to find, or even make do to how super legal they are by most, if not all, legal bodies in the setting. Second, he felt like it was a major disadvantage to him that we had an AI working for us and not him. So in character, he tells us that AI is outlawed by the Imperium, and the penalty normally is death. We then, almost as if we were one, shouted at Kevin, "We don't know if the Imperium is still around. You have no authority here." Where Kevin Neckbeard screams at us to remove the AI core and throw it into the sun or it'll blow us up before bombarding the place of the surface of the planet for rebelling against the Imperium for over 300 years. So we begin arguing in loops both in and out again about our behaviors toward himself and vice versa, the official lore, and at least someone, mostly Kevin, saying, "It's what my character would do," until the DM had enough and the NPC army captain came to the meeting room with a detonator. The captain went on to Kevin's warship as he was busy beating and tasering our crew and sinks into the engine room, putting in a kill switch. This would turn off all power to the ship, which we planned to use immediately if he didn't say that he did the same to our own engines, which gave a kill switch to Kevin for fairness. The session came to a swift end as me and the other players openly planned to raid Kevin's warship to kill him before he could blast the planet, and Kevin having his character strip off all their clothing and say, "Come at me, bro." Bro, okay, listen. The imagery of, like, Nikocado Avocado just ripping all his clothes off and getting into a fighting stance like, "Come at me, bro." Bro, that is, like, fucked. The aftermath. Me and apparently everyone else got the same idea and took time out of their lives to complain about Kevin's overall behavior and just running over everyone in combat. Attempts at RP and just laughing at people for asking the most basic fucking questions on how to play the goddamn game. We asked him if he can at best talk to him, and at worst, kick him before we leave. The next session, Kevin gave a half-assed apology as he was going for a flawed character who would have developed into a better person, and deep, meaningful roleplay that we were too low a traveler to get. This was sent to a group that has people who have been in the hobby for longer than I have been alive for. The DM told us that he was going to be helping the government just put up anti-bug defenses that were in a secret base just uncovered by the Mormons and drove his warship away, never to be seen or heard from again in game. Pilot left the game before this session, not giving a word on why he left, and all attempts at reaching him have been met with silence since. I got my friend to fill in the gap, and after a short break, we should be restarting the game in a month or two. So, too long, didn't read. That guy is given a head start to try to catch him up to speed with the group, ends up tasing half the party and nearly TPK'd us and glassing a planet for the lore breaks before getting soft kicked from the group. Okay, so we have one more butter. As you can see, we don't have a, super high power level of that guy. We only have like 3 pads of butter on us. So, he's not too bad. But it also does go to show that even the smallest, tiniest smidgen of that guy energy is going to go a long way in ruining a game and possibly an entire campaign. There's not much they could have done. Maybe session 0 him in somehow. Like I say, have like extra copies of your lore docs ready, little like write-ups of what's happened so far in the campaign, TLDRs that your new players can use. But really, you can't stop with that guy from being that guy. All you can do is kick him the fuck out and hope he doesn't annoy the fuck out of you. Like the person in our last story, second to last story, in the Ahagao thumbnail. That one was super fucking long. I think that there's not much that I can really say on this. Power level 3, compared to what we've had in some of the previous stories already, with the last time that I did this, it's like power level 27 to that guy. There's like no comparison. There is no comparison aside from the butter on my titties. So much love, stay sexy. I hope to see you guys later. Bye bye.